Sit down. Spend 30 minutes to understand what your money looks like. Come on. Why do we close our eyes to stuff like this? It is absolutely wild. So I'm actually going to give some of you guys a bit of a break because you're not actually entirely going crazy. Inflation is going up. The fact that they are printing money like it is just water, the fact that interest rates are so low, life is becoming more and more expensive and your money is not going to be stretching as far as it used to. And many people are in very dire situation when it comes to their finances that make them feel even more broke. So you are not going crazy, particularly at these times. But we've got to take some responsibility sometimes because there's definitely things that are making us more broker than broke. Then I don't know if this should have gone first, but it's no money clarity. You're looking at your bank account like this. What can you see? Nothing at all. The money is coming, the money is going. It's just happening. Whatever's going on with your money, you don't know how much you got coming in. Not quite sure. What's your tax? I don't know. What's your expensive? I don't know. Literally, you have no clarity on what's going on with your finances. It's silly. It's like walking around a dark room and you know there are potholes that are gonna kill you. Like, no, don't do it. The only way to get financial clarity is, guess what guys, is to have a budget. Know what you have coming in versus what you have going out. Sit down. Spend 30 minutes to understand what your money looks like. Come on. Why do we close our eyes to stuff like this? It is absolutely wild. You know the difference between your income and outcome. What does that number look like? What happens if your expenses are a little bit higher one month? What happens if your income reduces one month? How does your life look? You don't have an idea of those figures, it's not cute. Honestly, if you want to feel less broke instantly, it's literally taking control, opening your eyes and looking at the truth. Your numbers may not be perfect, that's absolutely fine, but the fact that you know what they are means you have taken control and is game changing.
The next bad money habit I had was I didn't cancel recurring subscriptions. I was really bad about this for a long time, like really bad. I would constantly start free app trials on my phone where it's like, try it free for 14 days, and then after that, we're billing you $60 annually. I would completely forget to cancel the trials if I wasn't using the app. For a while, I was really into doing the New York Times crosswords online, which if you're into crosswords, it's a great subscription. It's like $8 a month. I was into that for a couple of months and then I just fell out of it and forgot about it for a year or so. And then I looked at my bank statement and I've been charged $8 a month for the last year for the crosswords I wasn't doing. By the time I went into my bank statement and I actually added up all of the little $5 to $10 charges scattered throughout the month, it was well over $100 a month that I was paying on stuff I wasn't using.
Now third, the mistake I really want to warn people about is not to over leverage. Now when I say leverage, I'm talking about borrowing money. This might include mortgage debt or a margin account or any money that you have that you will eventually have to pay back. Now when it comes to this, I'm definitely not a Dave Ramsey who's like,
no guys, no debt at all. That's bad. Not at all. Avoid it. Pay off that 2% mortgage as soon as you can.
But I am a firm believer that the right amount of debt can actually make some sense as long as you're reasonable with it. Now I've said this before, but borrowed money is very much like a fire. If you treat it with respect and caution, that fire could keep you warm, it could cook your food, and it could make sure you don't get the runs from food poisoning. But if you're careless and don't pay close attention to it, it has the potential to burn down your house and ruin you financially. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you,
don't borrow money because that's bad.
But do it responsibly and make sure it doesn't overtake your portfolio. The point where people get in trouble is when they borrow too much and don't keep enough on the sidelines to cover themselves in the event of a downturn. Even though debt like this is going to help you make way more money when the market is going up, it's going to take even more from you when the market goes down, and I think that's something worth preparing for. So keep all of your debt to a reasonable point where it doesn't overtake too much of your portfolio, and make sure you can lock in these interest rates as low as you can for as long as you can. That way you know how much it's going to cost you every single month, and you can better plan for that.
The next money habit to give up is trying to keep up with friends who have expensive taste. So, do you have friends who always want you to go out to expensive restaurants and go shopping with them and go on trips with them and stay in nice hotels? So if you have friends with bigger budgets than yours, then it's okay to be authentic and say, just, hey, I can't do that because I'm working towards some financial goals right now and I need to save money. It's out of my budget. If they're real friends, they'll understand. Everyone has very different levels of taste as well as very different budgets. So trying to keep up with everyone around you is going to leave you broke and in debt. This includes friends as well as people you see on social media. The reality is, the average American has very little in savings and an average of $38,000 in debt, and that's not even including mortgages. So a lot of what you see in terms of amazing lifestyles on social media and whatever is often just an illusion. In fact, I personally know someone who is always posting Instagram photos of herself traveling to all kinds of exotic locations, and it really looks like she has this glamorous, awesome life. But the reality is she has $20,000 in credit card debt and has zero in savings and investments. So don't be fooled. A lot of what you see is not real, and chasing experiences just so you can post a cool photo on Instagram or look good to everybody else is a recipe for ending up broke. I think it basically comes down to this. Would you rather look rich or would you rather be rich? If you dream about becoming financially independent one day, you have to stop caring what everyone else thinks about you, because no one else is going to make it happen for you but you. Just learn how to speak up for yourself. Don't be afraid to turn down invitations, or don't be afraid to just suggest cheaper activities for you and your friends, because chances are people will respect you for having your priorities straight, and it'll probably inspire them to reassess their financial priorities as well.
Waiting to start saving. Thinking that you are too young or too broke to start saving is just an excuse. I'm sorry, I have to give you a little bit of tough love here. Having a savings account, no matter how small, is going to be the only thing that's going to help you in a financial crisis. Start today. Even if it's just with $20, it is important that you put whatever little money you can into a savings account each month. You will be so happy you did a year from now. Trust me.
Number 6 is the habit of normalizing debt. Now, you're probably thinking, what on earth am I talking about here? What I mean here is this idea, for example, of paying the minimums on your credit card bills every single month, okay? This is a very common thing, and it's becoming cultural actually to say that I'm paying the minimum, almost as though, you're kind of progressing by doing that. Not being funny, the fact that you're paying the minimum just shows that you have accepted debt as the norm in your own life, and that essentially makes you a slave, not being funny, a slave to a master out there, the lender. So what you want to be doing is really changing that mindset around living life with debt. Another good way this manifests in our day-to-day lives is when I hear people saying things like, don't pay off your mortgage. Oh, the interest rate's so low. Forget about that. Just, live with your mortgage and don't bother making overpayments, for example, which I find utterly ridiculous, because again, this is this idea of normalizing debt in our lives and it just becoming the normal thing to do. Your friend, for example, might have a debt of say £10,000, and immediately they speak to you about that and say they've got 10 grand, you start to compare yourself the amount of debt you got to them, because you're essentially trying to find a way to justify the level of debt that you have in your own life. And this is becoming very normal, especially with my generation as millennials. We are starting to accept that living with debt is a thing to do. So the thing to do is to declare war on your debt. Debt is not your friend in any way, shape or form. Don't accept that thing into your household as the norm. Declare absolute war on your debt and work towards paying that thing back every single month. Make overpayments. Don't listen to anybody who says to you that you should not pay your mortgage off. Go ahead and pay your mortgage off. Don't listen to anybody who says to you pay the minimums on your credit card. Don't do that. Overpay that thing. But of course, make sure you are prioritizing your debt and paying off more expensive debt before you get to the more cheaper debt. Before you get to the more cheaper debt types. Okay.